If I were to go up to my grandmother and tell her I was getting a tattoo, she would whip out her Bible, turn to Leviticus, and say, "Look, right here it says in the Bible not to get a tattoo. So you shouldn't get one." Now, full disclosure, I don't have any tattoos, and in this video, I'm actually going to tell you why, but it's not because of Leviticus. The verse that she's referring to is Leviticus 19:28. "Do not cut your bodies for the dead, and do not mark your skin with tattoos. I am the Lord." So even if that verse, just plain and simple, don't ever get a tattoo, I am the Lord, period, I still think that Christians could get tattoos if it was just for that verse. However, I think we should look at the Bible as a whole in reference to tattoos. And when I do that, I come to a conclusion that I don't hear many people talking about in Christian circles. So if we go back to the beginning of the Bible, God made Adam and Eve to be image bearers of himself. All of creation is made uniquely, but humans are made to reflect God. So when I look at you, and when you look at me, we're seeing an image of what God would look like. That's pretty cool, but it's also a big responsibility to hold. And whenever I think about tattoos, the reason that I don't think that we should get them as Christians is because when I tattoo my skin, it makes me look less like God, which makes me look less like an image bearer. And so I think that it's not biblical. Now, I don't have any tattoos, but my best friend, he does. He has a lot of them. So I don't think that you should break fellowship over someone that has tattoos. I don't think that I could even confidently say that it's a sin. Personally, this is more my personal conviction, and I don't want to press it on anyone else, but I do think it's a neat discussion to be had. Do tattoos make us look less like God? And if they do, then we're less like an image bearer. And my job here on earth is to look like God, is to be a representation of Christ, and is to be an image bearer. But there's something that's really important. There are people that if they get tattoos, they actually are sinning. In 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9, Paul has an interesting discussion about food sacrificed to idols, and he concludes by saying this: "But you must be careful so that your freedom does not cause others with a weaker conscience to stumble." Basically, his summation of it is, if you eat food that's sacrificed to idols, and you know those idols are fake and they're not real, then eat the food, not a big deal. But if you're around people that have grown up and maybe they worship these idols, maybe they are believers now, but they used to worship these idols, and they have some sort of not godly reverence, but I think respect for that culture, that if you eat that food, it could cause them to stumble. In the same way, tattoos can cause people to stumble. Next year I'm going to go live in Africa as a missionary, and in that culture, tattoos are seen as very bad and very poor. So for me to go out and have tattoos all over my body, it would cause other believers to stumble. So I would tell someone, if they're going into a culture where tattoos are seen as a way of causing people to sin and causing people to stumble, then the Bible would encourage you to, at bare minimum, cover your tattoos, if not have them removed completely. So for someone like me that doesn't have tattoos and is called to go be a missionary in an area where if I had tattoos, it would cause other people to stumble, then that would be a sin. So in short, what does the Bible say about tattoos? It doesn't give us a clear answer. We're not upholding to the law, so you can't point to Leviticus and say, this is the reason why you shouldn't get tattoos, even though Leviticus does mention it. I think that we are supposed to reflect the image of God, and therefore, I personally believe that we should withhold from tattoos. However, that's not something that I can prove straight out of the bat biblically, and so I think there's a lot of discussion that can be had.